Welcome back, everyone, to Blue Collar Startup. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson from 5 Towers Media.
I'm your other host, Derek Foster of Daigle Cleaning Systems. How are you, Mike?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
It's actually, I'm a mixed bag, if I'm being honest. I'm not fantastic. That's just not authentic.
Why? What's going on?
Just accounts receivable.
Still?
Man. You know what's I got a wild story for you guys. So I'm really trying to hammer down my accounts receivable. And I'm sharing this because it is pertinent to
You got to pay your people.
You know, right. And so I'm reaching out to people. Customers I've had for years. I've got one customer recently said she was going to move on to another marketing company. No big deal. Happens. Been working with her for 7 years. She's looking for a fresh set of eyes. Get it. Right? Well, she's got like $3,000 in outstanding invoices. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing about every reason of why, you know, like all the, like,
Sure.
Oh, this, and I don't know about this, and I wasn't happy with this. I'm like, so does that mean you're trying to get out of paying the invoices that we've already done the work on for the last year? Like, now all of a sudden there's these issues that I've never heard about before, now that I'm asking you to pay your invoices before you leave? It's wild.
Yeah. Oh, it's all part of it.
Man.
Yeah.
That happened right before I walked in here, so it's like fresh. It's a fresh wound, Derek.
Open wound.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is you get through it, and, hopefully they'll do the right thing.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Wild. Anyway.
Hey, all you can do is keep doing the right thing.
I know. That's, it's just amazing.
People are going to do what they're going to do.
So the lesson is, don't let your accounts receivable age past 30 days, everybody. Like,
That's good advice.
because these are from, like, some of them from like a year ago.
Yeah, that's no good.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, it's wild. Anyway.
Small business, you depend on it.
Yeah. Let's get to today's show, huh? So we're joined today by Jim LaFarr, who is the Warren County Sheriff. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's the title. That I'm not messing that up. Sometimes I mess these things up, Jim.
Nailed
Jim.
it.
I nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. Jim, go ahead and tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, please, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm the sheriff here in Warren County, and I've been in law enforcement, police work for over 34 years. Local kid, grew up in Queensbury, never, other than the military, never left the area. I love what I do. I knew that I wanted to be a police officer at a very young age and chased after it.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position now, I know this is a blue-collar project, but really I'm in a spot now where my role is white-collar. I'm running a small business, and you bring up subjects like accounts receivable. And for me, that's like an open sore too, because when I took office, I started to have to learn contracts and finance and HR. It's a big job.
Yeah.
But again, I love it.
It's a whole new ballgame. It's funny because you never think about, public office like this, right? Where that you are still running a bit, like there's still payroll. There's all the things that business owners deal with on a day-to-day basis. And same thing for not-for-profits. I recently, I never really considered it that a not-for-profit was like running a small business. And I was talking to one recently in an interview, and I was like, wow, Mike, it sounds like you got all the same problems as every small business. He's like, yeah, I do. It's like, he's like, I'm the executive director, but it's basically I'm the CEO of this company, and we've got all the same issues. So it's an interesting parallel to draw.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it. Even coming up to this interview, I didn't even think about that.
Well, and then there's the component of being an elected official.
Yeah.
I'm not a politician. I don't legislate, but I am the office of sheriff is the only position that answers directly to the public, and I take that very seriously as well.
Yeah.
Take us back to the early days. Did you ever envision yourself in this position where you are today?
No. For my first 9 years as a police officer, all I wanted to do was go out and arrest bad guys. I wanted to be a cop. And I didn't even take anything in law enforcement as a test. It's a civil service examination for initial hire, any promotion, any formal assignment. It's a test. And I didn't even take tests to be a sergeant or any type of advancement for the first half of my career. It wasn't until around 2016, and I was elected in 2019, took office 2020. Around 2016, I was working in our administrative office. The current sheriff at the time let us know that they ran for his last term, he was going to be done, and we needed to ensure that somebody from within our sheriff's office was going to be the next sheriff. And I went home, I spoke with my wife. I knew that it's a family commitment. It's not just me, because you're not just 8 to 4 and out the door, and there are events and galas and responsibilities that involve her as well. So I talked to her. She said, you definitely can do it. I think you've got the potential. So I started to work at it, and just like becoming a police officer, I went after it. And I've run now twice, and I run again in 2027. So I hope to still be sitting here for another term, at least one term at a time. But it is, like I said, it's a lot. Not complaining, but people don't realize when you're the sheriff, I grew up as a cop, and I understand police work. Still to this day, I can go out and arrest bad guys, write tickets. I do. But I'm also overseeing our correctional facility. And as a police officer, I didn't have background in corrections. I'm overseeing our emergency communications center. And before we came on, you mentioned, I think you mentioned evictions, our civil office. So in a sheriff's office, you don't have to have a road patrol, you don't have to have communications, but you have to have a jail, and you have to do civil process. And those are areas where I needed to get caught up to speed very quickly. I have, but people, when they think of a sheriff, they think of a cop, and it's so much more than that.
Yeah, well, and we should probably touch on too, just for our audience, because one of the things before we've talked about, and before we were coming here, when we first got introduced. Well, I think Small World, you guys already knew each other, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we've bumped into each other. I mean, we've got probably 100 mutual friends on the Facebook. So I know we know a bunch of the same people. But when Scott and Stacy over Catamount introduced us, Derek and I had a conversation. I'm like, is it blue collar? Is it not blue collar? And we were kind of unsure on that. So I wanted to bring that into the, why we actually consider police work the trades, right? Because it really is a trade, and so I wanted to get in talking about that. But
and a big physical and mental component, right along with it, and years of training and honing skills. I think it fits perfectly, and there's a big need. So
to my core, I know that our profession is absolutely blue collar.
Yeah.
It's the type of profession where you are working every day with your hands. You're out in the weather, and you have to have stamina. You have to have smarts. And I know that blue collar is not necessarily a lesser profession. It's a different profession. You're not sitting behind a desk. There is no routine. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And even though technology has changed and certain things in our profession have advanced, the fundamentals of what we do will always be blue collar.
So on that note, why don't we talk a little bit, like, what does it take to get a job at the sheriff's office to become, I would assume it's a deputy, right?
We have patrol officers. Deputy
okay.
is a term that has been used in sheriff's offices forever, and it goes right back to what I just mentioned. In other counties, you could come in on Monday and work on the road, police officer, come in on Tuesday and serve in the jail, come in on Wednesday, Thursday, work in communications, and then go back out on the road on Friday. So for us, we have specific civil service designations. So if you're a police officer in Warren County with the sheriff's office, you're a patrol officer. If you work in corrections, you're a correction officer. So for us, it's an exam. And when I speak with young adults, I let them know that for police work, you can't really do anything until you hit the age of 20. You're going to finish high school at 18. So during that time, work. Have some type of consistent employment that somebody can vouch for you and say you were a good, sound human being. If you have a choice and you want to go into education, I always encourage never stop learning. So maybe go and get some schooling. It doesn't have to be in criminal justice, and sometimes I'll discourage that. If you have something you're interested in, other than that, get a degree in something outside of that, because everything you need to do or know as a police officer, you're going to learn in a 6-month police academy. Very intensive training, but you'll come out and you'll have, a good framework of becoming a cop. So you'll have to take a test. What I say to young adults is take every test that you're eligible for, practice, study. There are study guides that are available. And I meet with a lot of young adults and I give them the insight, suggestions. And then if you are successful and you're offered a position, it may not be your forever position, take the job, because the jobs sometimes are few and far between. If you miss an exam in 2025, you might not see another one until 2027. So you don't want to give up 2 years of your life in your profession waiting for a job at the Warren County Sheriff's Office when maybe something opened up in Hudson Falls. And so I just say, keep your nose clean. You don't have to be perfect. Young adults are going to make mistakes, and we understand that. We'll do a background investigation, sort out, what they were like as a young adult. But keep your nose clean, work hard, and then when the time comes, be prepared for that test.
You had mentioned that, and I think it was before we started recording, about recruiting and about recruitment being down, right? And I mean, do we know why that is? I mean, is it just a sign of the times? Because like you're saying, like, you know, if you went back to the 70s or 80s, right? Like there was, I feel like there was no shortage in police officers or people that wanted to do that job. But I know that we see it all across the trades. We see it in a lot of industries where there's just a huge shortage of people that want to get into those industries. Everybody wants to be like a YouTube influencer. They want to sell some stuff on Etsy or whatever, you know, whatever it is. Do we know why there's recruitment is down, or?
I think it's generational, and I'm going to sound like my parents sounded, 40 years ago. These kids, but I think we're seeing it in so many professions. You know, when I was a young adult, I was a lifeguard for a time. Mm-hmm. You don't see at Six Flags many of the lifeguards that are citizens of our country. They're students that come in on work visas. I think many professions are struggling to get young adults to want to come in and work. Law enforcement is going through some really tough times. There are some huge challenges. We have a good relationship with the public in Warren County, but that's fragile. We are one incident, one bad choice away from having our own struggles locally. I hope that never happens. But it's a really challenging job, super rewarding job. We, in this room, we have our swearing-in ceremonies for young police officers. They'll come in with their families, and I let the families know that these young adults are going to have a front row seat to the greatest show on earth. The things that they're going to see and experience, some people just dream of. Not always wonderful and great, but it's amazing. It's a profession that you don't have to have a 7-year degree from Harvard to get. You need to work hard. You need to be committed and dedicated, but anyone can do it.
That, and you'll always have a job, right?
You will always have a job.
Yeah.
You're going to have health insurance. You're going to have paid time off, and you're going to be part of a worldwide family.
Yeah. Well, and I just think that, the value of being able to, great if someone wants to get it, again, not to disparage anyone or discourage anyone from getting a college education, but the fact that it's not necessary. You can come in, learn while you earn, right? Because
yes.
Are you paid when you go to the academy?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
From the time we make the appointment, our members are paid, and that's through their entire schooling, through their field training. So yes.
Yeah, which again, outside of the trades, I don't know of many industries that you can learn while you earn. At this point, right? A lot of them require college degrees, at least a 2-year, if not a 4-year. And college is expensive and getting more expensive every day.
Everything you need for the job, you're provided. All of your equipment, your vehicle. You don't need to come in with anything. You come in with the clothes on your back. We'll provide you with a uniform, and that starts at the academy as well. Our Zone 5 is the training zone that we're a part of in this region. We're the furthest agency north. So it's down in Schenectady, but again, from day one, they're given an unmarked police car, and they use that for travel back and forth. The academy is Monday through Friday, and it runs for about 6 months. Ours started in July, and it will finish up next January.
Oh, wow. So they get a car for academy too?
Yeah, they do.
Man.
Yeah.
That's pretty good gig.
We give them some stern talking to us because they're not police officers yet. They're candidates, recruits.
Yeah.
So, we don't want them out doing anything. Obviously, if they saw somebody in distress on the interstate, they have a radio to know to call, but we don't want them engaging in anything because they're still civilians themselves.
Mm-hmm. What, I really just feel like I just need to talk about this, but you had mentioned as well that a good percentage of people that do apply, even though that number is down, still don't make it to academy. And you said because of the physicality. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
That's wild to me.
Well, again, when I'm speaking with a young adult, the other thing that I'm going to share with them is keep yourself in good physical condition. Obviously, it's something that's necessary when you are a police officer, but to get higher, there's a physical agility test. So history has shown me over the years that if we have 50 candidates that pass the written exam, mm-hmm. we'll invite all 50 to take this physical agility test, and about half will pass.
Half.
So then we have a pool of 25 candidates, and then from there we do a really extensive background investigation. We'll go back to their first home when they were 4 years old, speak to neighbors, talk to teachers in school.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we want to find out as much as we can about them. So through that process, we'll eliminate another small percentage. So by the end of the time where we are ready to select 5, we might only have 10 people that we can actually bring in for an interview. And then sometimes through the interview process, more is learned that wasn't picked up in the background process. Sometimes people are asked to submit to a polygraph if we have some concerns about integrity or inconsistencies in the interview process. So it is really challenging. But like I said, you can make mistakes. You can make some poor choices as long as they're, relatively minimal. But it's just starting with the lower numbers to begin with and then cutting that into a third, we're struggling. So if we can encourage any young adults to come in, we'll invite them in for a ride along. Everybody wants to get into a police car and ride around, see what that looks like. And sometimes that helps. We'll go to SUNY Adirondack, go into the high schools and have conversations just to get them excited about what we do. And again, it is very exciting.
So let's talk about that. When you say exciting, I mean, obviously, my mind initially goes to, I get to carry a gun and ride around with the lights on.
You want to do a ride along, don't you?
I mean, I kind of do. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I have ridden in a police car before, but not voluntarily. Nothing major, Jim, I promise. He's looking at me like, nothing too crazy. I was young and, went out to bars when I was younger.
We were all.
Made some stupid decisions.
Fortunately, there was no social media when we were all young adults, right? Yeah.
Wow. Imagine that. So what is it, when you say exciting, like what's exciting? Can we talk about that a little bit? Like what does it look like to be a police officer from day to day?
There is no day to day. So you come in with the thought that you're going to go on the road, you're going to get in your car, and you're going to start answering calls. And we encourage, really the mark of a police officer is what you're doing in between your calls for service. Being proactive, trying to go out and keep our roadways safe, but each day's different. And if you watch any of the shows on law enforcement, police work, everything that you see on those shows is occurring in Warren County. I'm very purposeful. I do as much as I can to insulate the public so they're not aware of what's really going on. But people from all over the world come to our region throughout the summer, and they bring with them their cultures and their products and their lifestyles. So we navigate that. Many people, unfortunately, are struggling with mental health crisis, and they're battling addiction. And that causes people to do things that they would not be doing if they weren't, battling addiction. So our officers are going from call to call to call, and you could respond to a domestic. It could be your third time at this domestic call. You know the two parties that are involved, and this time there's a need to make an arrest, and you start to affect that arrest, and now you're doing your job focusing on the person being arrested, and the victim is now upset that you are arresting their loved one, so now they're on your back. It's just you never know. You never know what you're going to see. Unfortunately, we do have homicides. Again, anything, I don't want to say that a homicide's exciting, but when you work in our profession, you want to have those calls that you see on television. You don't want to have it happen, but if it happens, you want to be the one responding to it. You want to be the one sitting at the table doing the interview. You want to be the one solving the crime.
There's so many things to unpack in that. I mean, first of all, I have huge respect for what you guys do and the amount of crap that you put up with. I mean, because some of it, I have a few friends that are caught. I mean, some of it's just complete nonsense, right? Like, as far like the domestic disputes and things like that. Like, to me, and maybe that's disrespectful, so I'm sorry. I don't mean to say it's complete nonsense, but it seems silly that these situations even exist and that you guys have to spend time on that stuff when there is much bigger things going on. And we have such an insulated, I feel like Warren, not so much the capital region, but certainly like Warren County, Washington County, Saratoga County, we feel very insulated from things that go on in the rest of the country.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel that way. I mean, most people I think that we talk to don't worry about the kinds of things that I would worry about if I went down to New York City or to a major metropolitan area. You don't worry about any of that stuff.
But I think the take is very interesting, what you said, Jim, with Warren County being almost a vacation destination for a lot of people.
Sure.
We're here local. I don't think of it that way because it's so close.
Yeah.
But, putting it in perspective, I mean, people from all over the world come to Lake George and vacation. And
not all of them have positive intentions,
That's right.
I'd imagine. And interesting that you say that, we just don't know about half of it that goes on. And to be fair, we probably don't want to know about half of what goes on.
You don't. We have an evidence room right now that we've actually had to have more space added because our room is filled with guns. And we are taking guns off the street. Obviously, we have a narcotics unit, a covert narcotics unit, we are making substantial drug arrests. But again, I don't put a lot out to the public because we want you to feel safe. We don't want people to be nervous. We want you to be aware, but we keep those types of things to ourselves. And even something as simple as the Adirondack Balloon Festival, Warren County's Balloon Festival. Mm-hmm. People go, they love it, they go and they watch the balloons go up. Yeah. Our process there is so very different, and it's far more than just traffic. That's a soft target for an attack. Yeah. So we are working through the buildup, we're observing, we have our tactical teams on site, we're observing, doing sweeps. There are just so many things that we do behind the scenes that we're hoping the public never sees or feels to keep you coming back and to make you feel insulated. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, you do a great job.
I mean, again, I've got 4 kids, and we've got a beautiful. Of course, we're in Saratoga County. They're doing a great job.
Amazing
too.
county as well. Yes.
Yep. But I did live in Warren County for 20 years.
You're close, right?
Yeah.
You're almost on the
I
border.
mean, I was Glens Falls, Queensbury for long decades. So, and again, like you would, whenever something wild would happen, it was like, wow, I didn't know that happened here, right? Cause, so I have to say, you're probably doing a pretty good job preventing a lot of the stuff that people worry about.
Got to be proactive.
Yeah.
Push it out. I don't want to say we want to push it to Saratoga and Washington counties, but we work really hard to aggressively deter crime. And people know the other half of that, getting off topic a little bit, is having a good, solid DA's office. So making sure prosecution is stiff, because if we do our job and then the judges or the DA's office are they reducing crimes and just a slap on the hand, people are going to continue to come back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've got a really great working relationship, and things are clicking in Warren County.
One question that I have, Jim, with everything going on and obviously the number of people that you're responsible for here, how do you guys manage? What does the typical schedule look like for an officer, somebody who's either just coming out of the academy or somebody who's been with you for a long time? What does the day-to-day look like, and how do you guys put those pieces together?
So we're very much like the military. We have a rank and command structure system. So obviously I'm not doing it all by myself. We have an undersheriff, lieutenant, sergeants, and there's tremendous oversight. When a police officer first comes out of the academy, they're working 12-hour shifts, either 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Correction officers are on an 8-hour shift. Communications officers are on an 8-hour shift. So they will come out, and when I say come out of the academy, and they'll be paired with a trained field training officer for a period of 10 weeks. They'll ride, they'll be observed. There are certain things that they have to be exposed to. If they're not, we'll come up with scenarios to ensure that they can work through and navigate these types of calls. And then sometimes there is a little extra time that's needed, so we'll continue the field training. We don't cut anybody short. If we see somebody's proficient by 8 weeks, we still have them continue on field training for a couple more weeks just to make sure. And really, you don't really understand the job for about 5, sometimes 7 years. You really need to be exposed to a lot. And speaking with people is huge, having good interpersonal skills. And there's a lot of growth that comes with it. And something I said when we have our swearing in ceremonies and we're talking with families, I let them know, from me to them as a parent, the person that you're sitting next to right now, your loved one, is going to be different in 5 years. They're going to be different in 10 years. By the time they retire, they're going to be a completely different person. Not bad, but just they change. This job changes people. Mm-hmm. And it can be a lot. We have a good peer support network. We have a peer support coordinator, very experienced woman that deals with nothing but our staff. So if somebody responds to a bad call and they see something that is affecting them adversely, we're right on top of it. And that's something that when I started 30 years ago, we didn't have. We just sucked it up.
Rub some dirt on it.
That's it.
Yeah. What is, from a career standpoint, like what do patrol officers make on average, or what does that look like from a financial side of things?
Well, I like to think we're really competitive, and I can't compare us to a heavy equipment operator or somebody else that would be in blue collar, but within 3 years in the Warren County Sheriff's Office, you're going to be making $75,000. You're going to have good health benefits, and I speak with others because I'm always curious myself, and our health insurance benefits, they would stand up to just about anybody's. We get good coverage, and within 5 years, especially we're negotiating a new contract, our employees are making 6 figures. So I know that times have changed in our region. There's no more starter home, young adults trying to get into a home. So $100,000 today isn't what it was, 10 years ago. but I think it's a good, reasonable income for someone that's not required to go to college, that can jump right in and from day one be getting paid and supported. So it's competitive, and I think it's exciting.
No, I was actually going to say, like, so, you could be 20 years old, get a job, learn while you earn, and within 5 years you're making six figures, not having to go to college, not having to spend any time and money doing any of those things, and still making six figures, which...
And the icing on that cake is while you're doing it, if you're a police officer, you're working a 12-hour shift. So you work 2 days on, have 3 days off, 3 days on, 2 days off. So in that other time period, if you want to develop another craft, another trade, do something else with your hands, we have many that have side businesses, and they'll do those on their days off.
Yeah.
You start with the Warren County Sheriff's Office as a police officer, you can retire in 20 years. So if you started at 20, you can retire at 40, and you've developed another trade. You can stay if you'd like, and the retirement increases the more you stay. But you retire with half pay after 20 years, retain your benefits, and you could go do something else. You're still a young man or young woman.
Yeah, so I mean, you can start your business while you're employed already.
Yeah.
Your side hustle. Yeah.
I'd say I've got a friend that I believe he's now a retired police officer, but he had side gigs and side hustles the entire time.
We have electricians, plumbers, stump grinders, pressure washers, welders. If you think of it, we have blue collar workers that are doing more in the blue collar industry.
Yeah.
And who better to have in your house than a sheriff officer?
Yeah, I'd imagine there's a level of trust that comes out.
You could trust us. For
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Well, it's interesting too. You said welders because one of the last episodes with Mike from Zacheck, he was like, "Welders are the next millionaires." Like if you want to be a millionaire, become a welder right now because it's huge.
Yeah.
So listen, kids.
Right?
You can work in the sheriff's office and then be a part-time welder, and then when you're done with your 20, you get a nice retirement and
Absolutely.
And be welding.
I'll throw one other little icing on the cake. We have through the county stipends, so you can get up to 50% of your education reimbursed. So if you're going through a vocational trade to become a welder, we'll support that. Has nothing to do with the sheriff's office, but that's another side benefit.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
No,
you can't. Go ahead, D. You better jump in because I'm just going to keep firing off questions.
So for a motivated officer that comes in and wants to grow and advance within the department, what does that look like, and what different? Because I think there's some different avenues they can get into or specialties. What does that look like, and what are the options there?
of course. So for me, you stay in uniform, or you can go plain clothes as an investigator detective.
Okay.
I took the detective path. I became an investigator with 9 years on, and then climbed the ranks through there, sergeant, lieutenant. But that's really the first step, is some type of a promotion. But even the entry-level officers, we have opportunities to serve on a tactical team with our emergency response team. You can be a public safety scuba diver. You can operate a snowmobile. You can be a marine vessel operator and be out in the lakes all summer long.
How do I get that job? Am I too old? I'm 48.
It seems really great, and on the good days it's great, but when it's not great, you're out at night, you're out in inclement weather, and the work that our police officers are doing on the boats is the same work that you're doing on land. So we're making drug arrests, BWIs, we're handling domestics. There's crime that's occurring on our waterways. You think it's just quality of life, making sure you have the proper number of life jackets and a horn. It's far more than that. It is good, but there's work behind it.
There's work. There's still work there.
Again, we're insulated.
Yeah.
You don't think about that.
When I used to keep a boat on Lake George, I'd see the guys floating around, and I was like, man, that's the greatest gig in the world. But now that you say it, it's probably not always.
Right?
Probably not always sunshine and sunscreen.
It is not. Because without fail, the storm's coming from the north end of the lake, and you've got to go pull a boat off the rocks through that storm.
Oh.
Yeah, bring them back.
Yeah, I never really thought about that part.
Yeah.
Man. So what else? I'm sorry, I cut you off with my...
No, that was it. We have a lot of specialized opportunities. And then if you wanted to stay as a police officer, but you wanted to be part of our traffic safety unit, or you wanted to learn specialized skills with interview, crisis negotiation, anything that you can think of, again, in a large agency, absent maybe a helicopter, we don't have an aviation unit, we do here in the Warren County Sheriff's Office. We encourage education. We want people to advance. And like I said in the beginning, never stop learning. I don't stop.
So for those officers who pick a path and go down a specialty path, is there different pay or income levels that are attached to those, or how does that work?
Any promotion, there's an increase in pay.
Okay.
Investigators make more than a patrol officer. Supervisors make more than rank and file. Specialized assignments, the pay comes with the additional duties. So there's training days that would come in, which I was a public safety scuba diver for 7 years, absolutely loved it. And I made more money because every time there was a water-related accident, we were called out. So I was making more money there. We had training days. I was making more money to go out and have fun and scuba dive. So anything that you do, you're never doing anything for free. And everything that you need, all of the gear that I needed to be a diver was paid for by Warren County. And I could use it off duty because, again, we encourage our members to be proficient. So don't just train while we're training. Go train with a dive buddy on your own.
Mm-hmm.
How many waterways is within the jurisdiction of Warren County?
There's a ton. I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
Just
people
curious.
just think of Lake George, but Glen Lake, Loon
so
Lake,
many.
Schroon Lake,
Plus ponds
Brant
and streams
Lake.
and rivers and
Hudson River, Schroon River. There's a ton.
Yeah.
And people come to Warren County. Tourism is our industry. We have industry, but the real industry is tourism. And you're not going to be successful in tourism if people don't feel safe. So we work really hard to support that industry. We're out on all the waterways. We're out on small watercraft, jet skis, and the smaller bodies of water. And we're not out, again, to ruin people's days, but we're there to be quiet company. We're here if you need us. Otherwise, we're going to drive on by and wave.
Yeah. This is probably silly, but it's making me, so I just want, you ever watch that show Untamed? Say ever. It's like a new show that's out on Netflix.
I've not seen that one. I've heard to watch it.
5 stars. 5 stars. But like, with what you're talking about, it's reminding me of that show because everyone's on vacation, they're having fun, but there's this side of it, I don't want to call it the dark side, but it's like, there's a side of it where not everything is puppies and kittens, and it's the law enforcement that's dealing with it, trying to keep everything calm. And when you're talking about that, I was like, wow, it's like all these things that are going on all the time that you don't know about. But it must be also kind of cool and exciting.
Those are the exciting
to
things.
be doing those things because you're in the know and you're solving problems and hopefully arresting bad guys. And
we never want people to be in crisis, but when they are, we want to be the ones responding and helping them out, finding their loved ones. Serving justice. Good guys win, bad guys lose. That's how we live.
We like that formula.
Yeah,
It's a good formula. What do you think? Just so we're telling all sides of the story, right? Like, what's the downside of law enforcement?
There is not a single downside to this profession. I wake up every day still excited to go to work, and it's a family, a brotherhood, and a sisterhood that compares to no other. I mean, when we're like any family, we're dysfunctional, and law enforcement has strong egos. So on your day-to-day, guys are ribbing each other, gals are ribbing each other, and you can get it under each other's skin every once in a while. But when the bell rings and that call happens and you're going and it's a gun-related call and you're going in side by side with your brother or your sister, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what that traffic stop's going to bring. Having that relationship and that bond, you rely on one another because you go home at the end of the night based upon the calls that you have, but your training and the support from your family. So it's like none other. And it's work, but like any other profession, I'm sure I don't know anything about welding, but I'm sure there are challenging days and there are certain jobs that you have to do that are dangerous. So I think ours would be consistent with those. But if you rely and fall back on your training and never get complacent, sometimes bad things are going to happen, but I don't know. I don't see myself ever wanting to hang up my gun belt for the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
The training side must be super fun.
What does the physical component look like as far as the testing?
This is the hard part for me. I mean, I'm not in perfect physical condition, but I like to keep myself in a state where I can pick up heavy things, and if I needed to run, I can run, and at the end of that run, if I needed to fight, I can. But in law enforcement, the only requirement for physical training is to get hired. After that, there's no requirement to stay in physical shape. And I think that's one flaw that we have in our profession. I think we should maintain a physical fitness standard, whether it's through a requirement or an incentive. But it's been something in our profession that's never really taken hold. You really can't, if you had a standard that was a requirement and people weren't meeting it, do you want to, end somebody's career? So I don't necessarily have that answer, but if you look at our agency, the overwhelming majority of members are in good physical condition because you know that you don't know what tonight's going to bring.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter if you're the biggest person in the room, but if you can handle yourself, you know what tools you're equipped with. We have small female officers that, would be physically overpowered by someone that's 300 pounds and 6'5", but you go into that house because somebody needs you. If that person's combative, you use your words, you use your training, you use your tool belt, and you figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't turn away.
Yeah, that's the wild thing, right? Like, that's a no option deal.
That's one thing that I will say in a sheriff's office that's different than a city police department. If we have a bad call in a city, the bell rings, for instance, and you'll have 5 cars that will roll up within 60 seconds. If we have a really violent domestic in North River, which is in the northern part of our county, your next closest backup could be 40 minutes away going lights and sirens. So you really need to be good with your words. You need to be wise. You need to take your time. Figuratively, you got to get in there, but don't react. Respond. Make good, sound decisions, and sometimes they're done in a split second, but you can't just react. You got to, again, let it click. And when you watch a good trained officer, there are so many things that they're processing within split seconds. But again, it's exciting.
I'm sure a lot of those tactics and the training that everybody goes through can apply across the board to any business, in terms of conflict resolution or just figuring it out, the solution of the problem. I guess for some of our listeners, what would be one thing that, if they could take away, or a piece of advice that you could give in regards to that, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing that I could think of that would go across the board, again, is communication and de-escalation. Because a lot of people, I've noticed post-COVID that people have changed. Society's changed a little bit. People are a little quicker to be short of temper. They're a little more angry towards customer service businesses. When they get in a vehicle, they can be a little more uptight and frustrated. So staying calm, there needs to be a calming presence anytime there's an interaction. And if you can do that, I say to our people that even if you're being treated disrespectfully, if somebody's shouting at you, that does not give you the license to do so in return. Somebody needs to be the baseline. Be the baseline, talk, receive the disrespect, because you are the one in power in that situation, and then react appropriately. And if you do that, whether you're a server at the Olive Garden or you're a police officer on the street being recorded in the village of Lake George with 200 people watching, you will always be successful. You might not have the resolve that you'd hope for, but you'll be successful.
It's good advice.
It is good advice.
Yeah. Our team, we just dealt with a situation yesterday. Very upset, irate person, no pleasing them, and luckily I gave similar advice, but do what you got to do, and be kind, don't react to it, and wait for the situation to calm down, and we'll deal with it the following day.
I'm sure you've heard this. Most people, they want to be heard, hugged, or helped. And I say to our people, if you knew from the time that you walk up that it's not your job, it's not a function of the police, don't start off with saying, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Hear them, listen. Because a lot of times people just want to be heard. Let them know what can be done. Maybe if you reached out to the town could assist, but don't start right off from the jump saying, sorry, I can't help you, not my job.
I was just thinking. I know something's coming. I'm just trying not to be too funny, guys. I know it just reminded me of a recent situation I was in, but I'm going to let it.
You were 100% right, though.
Yeah.
And, I think Mike and I can both attest to our experience. Customer service has changed across the board. Every industry, I don't care what it is, and you're 100% right. Everybody has a short fuse. It's 0 to 100 very quickly, and sometimes there's no appeasing. It can be very challenging.
Yeah, no matter what you do.
Yep.
They're just not going to be happy with it. You just kind of got to let them be not happy, I
right.
guess.
Sure.
What are you going to not only so much you can do to appease some people. And it's interesting that you say people are less calm, because I do feel like I've been seeing so much more like road rage and things like just when I'm driving. I'm like, what is going on with people right now?
Yeah.
Like,
I tell people all the time, if somebody does something wrong, they cut you off, don't even beep your horn. Let them go, because you have no idea what that person's going to do. Mm-hmm. You know, we had recently a shooting that was at our local Walmart in Queensbury that had nothing to do other than road rage. Somebody cut somebody off, then they had a hand gesture, then the two were waving back and forth, they, pull into this parking lot. It ended up in a shooting.
That's wild.
There was one just by me, too, in, not Castleton, but near Lebanon Valley recently. Same thing.
Yeah.
Road rage incident, and guy ended up getting shot.
It's wild.
Absolutely.
I actually had an incident recently. I literally pulled out of Stewart's, Route 9, driving down the road. I didn't cut anybody off. Nothing happened. All of a sudden, there's this guy behind me, and he is waving out his window at me. I'm like, what is going on? What's up with this guy? I thought he was waving to somebody else. And I'm driving down the road, and now he's doing all this wild stuff where he's coming up on me fast and then slowing down, and then he's doing all this. And he followed me for 10 minutes. And I got to where I was going to pull into my driveway, and I'm like, I don't know if I should pull in my driveway right now.
I was just going to say that.
I thought about driving to the trooper barracks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm just going to drive to the police station or trooper barracks, whatever I hit first, because I don't know what this guy's going to do right now. This is wild.
I'll speak with community groups, various types, especially seniors. And what I encourage is if something like that happens, the moment it happens, turn into a public parking lot, let them go, let them drive away for a minute or two, then pull back out and head where you were heading. But don't incite them, don't, brake check them, don't do anything that's going to make it worse. Just get out of their way, let them go have the day they deserve.
Yeah. I mean, I had my son in the car. You know what I mean? What am I going to do? Get out and fight the guy with my kid in the back seat? It's wild.
And I'm a police officer, so recently we went to Massey's, South Glens Falls.
Yeah.
Had a wonderful dinner. And we're leaving. We reached the traffic light at the bridge heading back into Glens Falls. And this young adult steps out into the roadway on a bicycle and looking towards Glens Falls, but intentionally walking out into traffic. So I stop and turns and just glares into my car, and then comes around the driver's side and makes a motion to punch at my mirror. Now you think, you're a police officer. You should do something about this. So, but my wife's in the car with me. Mm-hmm. I let it go. I don't do anything. I call and report it. I don't know what happened. I didn't follow up, but even as a police officer, I'm not going to get out and put my wife in harm's way to address a situation that is not my function at that time.
So wild.
So what are some of the tactics? Because your staff, you guys are all dealing with these situations constantly, day in and day out. What do you guys teach your officers to do to kind of get away from that, decompress, and reset themselves?
Off duty? Is that what you mean?
Just in general.
It's different for everybody. I encourage them to find time that is not work related. If you enjoy, it's foreign to me because I'm old, and but we have a lot of our members who are gamers, and I say, go game. Get into those types of things. Go fish. Go for a hike. Be with your family. And when you're not working, don't talk about work. Don't be, checking and seeing what's going on at the sheriff's office or police work. Unplug, because you need to unplug. Because when you're here, you need to be 200% focused every moment of every day. And there are moments, we call them moments of boredom, because you're driving around and there's not much going on. And within a split second, it's chaos. Mm-hmm. And that's really tough on a body. Everything that the adrenaline that rushes and the physiological overload to your nervous system and your brain, that up and down constantly is tough. So our people need that time. And like I say, when we have something that's really serious, whether they want to or not, we engage our peer support to just reach out, touch base, make sure that they're okay, if they have anything that they need. Yeah. And our peer support is completely confidential. So if our team reaches out to a member, I don't know what's going on, they don't report back to me, they have the comfort of knowing that whatever they share stays between them and that person.
Do you guys have, I've noticed a lot more law enforcement in jiu-jitsu, locally, whether it's state police or Saratoga PD.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, okay. Off and on. I got to say off and on. I'm lucky to get in there a couple times a month right now, just because of my schedule with the kids and work and everything else like that. But But we have, I mean, I can remember, 10 years ago, you might see one in there. And now we see a lot more. And is that something that's like encouraged, or like what is there a relationship at all between the local law enforcement and like the, jiu-jitsu schools locally? Just because, I mean, it's very pertinent to what you guys are dealing with.
Yeah.
And
we've done training in a local gym, and any training opportunity. We've had some jiu-jitsu instructors come and teach here in this room. We'll move tables around and
nice.
set up mats. So that type of training is perfect for what we do, because close quarters, and you're going from holds and pain compliance to strikes. But it's also, if it's taught right, it's taught to be not necessarily offensive. You're not looking to go out and beat somebody up, but protect yourself and to control somebody in a manner that's safest for yourself. So yeah, we encourage that. We don't currently have, there are gyms that will offer discounted rates to law enforcement. So we do that, but we can't train in defensive tactics while we're working. Just our schedules, the workload won't allow it. But in your off time, if you want to go do it, it is definitely encouraged.
Those guys have cop strength. That's what we call it. I'm like, they're nasty, man. I'm not even kidding.
Well,
I'm not saying that because you're here. I mean, I'm literally like the cops I've rolled with. I'm like, holy, these
I'm
guys.
going to share a little bit too much. So
What do you got?
my son is a police officer on our job, and for years he was a wrestler in school. I would wrestle around with him, and Dad's got the belt. I can take him.
You got dad strength, right? Yeah.
So we recently went to one of the local gyms, and we were doing some defensive tactics. I can schedule myself to attend trainings whenever I want. So I'm going to go when my son's going. We partnered up together, and I couldn't show it, but I was sore the next day. That young man caused me some pain. Talk about strong.
Oh, man. That's great.
You must be proud.
I'm very proud.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think that he got into law enforcement because he grew up around you being in it, or?
Definitely.
Yeah.
He started, we used to have a substation in Lake George. My wife's from Lake George, so I gravitated to work. That's our zone 2, Lake George, Lake Luzerne. I was there on a bicycle summer after summer. He started coming up when he was in a baby stroller. He'd come into the station, and he was around the family. He'd see the officers. He was family. He'd get in the police car, so it was instilled in him at a very young age. I'll be honest with you, and this is going to seem weird because we're on a blue-collar podcast, but I was encouraging him as a young adult to just make sure that he was sure, leave your opportunities open. You don't want to have just one opportunity in life. Get some schooling, figure some things out. And he had said, and I can still remember him saying this to me, your profession has provided such a great life for you and Mom. I love it so much. I can't see myself doing anything else. And really, if you love what you do, it's a corny statement, but you don't work a day in your life. You go to work, but you love it. You're not working.
Have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Have fun doing it.
Yeah.
That's probably the perfect spot to wrap it up.
Okay, I'll take it.
I could keep talking for hours.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's so many questions I could ask, but I don't know that all of them are going to be in line with the podcast. But
Well, I'm going to ask you to share this because I hope this is published
Yeah.
and many people see it. Anybody, young adults, parents of young adults that think they have an interest or their children may have an interest, ask them to reach out to our sheriff's office. I will make myself available, and I will share any insight that I can have, bring them in, show them around. So we want to get as many good, sound, local young adults in this sheriff's office as possible. And if I think I could help, I'm there for that.
What we'll do, we'll post contact information if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
We'll post it right on the
post
episode.
right in the show notes. And so, if people want to take you up on that, how do they get a hold of you?
Contact the Warren County Sheriff's Office, 518-743-2501. You just ask to speak with Jim LaFarr, the sheriff, and I'll give him a call right back.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Jim, I meant it before when I said it. I appreciate everything that you guys do.
this was
Thank
great.
I really
Thank
do.
you very much.
Thanks for spending some time with us today and
My pleasure.
answering all of my silly questions.
For keeping
and
the
Derek's
North Country
good
safe.
questions. And keeping the North Country safe, and insulated from a lot of the stuff that goes on
Sure.
that we don't even know about, which is amazing. That means you're doing your jobs.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for listening. Of course, thanks to our sponsors that make all this happen: Martin Electric, People Ease, Bonaccio Construction, MLB Construction, Michaels Group, of course, Scott and Stacy over at Catamount Consulting, which we didn't even get to talk about the training that you did recently. But
Incredible.
Those guys are amazing.
They are.
I recently got to witness one of their trainings, actually when they're with Zyjek. So
That's right.
recorded one of the sessions they had Matt Secor from Secor Jiu-Jitsu up there and talking to their group. It was pretty cool. So, but I love those guys. They're amazing. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to our sponsors again, and you'll hear from us next week.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peoplease, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.